Kesara, and today I'm gonna be doing my winter book haul. So when I was first thinking about doing this video, I thought like I hadn't bought that many books, so it wouldn't be a very interesting video. But then I started listing out the amount of books that I got, and even though I didn't get very many at like a single time, if you count out all the books that I got over like one book a week or so, it ended up being a lot more than I expected. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'm gonna break this down by month. So we're gonna start out with the books that I got in December 2021 and work my way up to now. I thought that I hadn't bought that many books in that December because I was really busy at the time, so I wasn't really reading very much. But despite that, I did still end up buying 8 books, which I feel like is a lot for a month that you're not actually reading. So I'm gonna start out with sci-fi, and one of my favorite authors in sci-fi is Octavia E. Butler, and I bought 2 of her books in December, and that's Dawn and Mind of My Mind. So for Dawn, I've actually read this book. It was the second book that I read by her, and it's the one that made me just like really fall in love with her writing because it is one of the most creative. I don't know if it's a first contact with alien story. I wouldn't really consider it that because it's set like in the very, very distant future when humans are already extinct, basically, and there's this alien race that finds us and they kind of want to bring humans back. So I definitely thought it was an interesting concept, and it's definitely one of the most like aliens that I've ever read about like in a book. I just think Butler has some of the most unique, creative sci-fi ideas that I've ever seen, and I honestly don't understand why more people have not read her books because they're awesome. And Dawn is one of my favorites by her, and all of her books are getting a bit of a facelift and getting new covers. So when I saw this new cover came out, I absolutely had to have it. Also, I didn't already have a copy of Dawn, so I thought it was the perfect time to get one. And then for Mind of My Mind, this is the second book in the Patternist series by Octavia E. Butler. I'm actually currently reading the Patternist series, so I haven't read this book yet. This is the next book on my list to read in this series. This is an epic scope in time. It follows Earth from a very long time in the past to a very long time in the future. And in the first book, it's following like 2 gods. So I'm excited to see where this series goes. Continuing with the sci-fi theme, I also bought the Hyperion series by Dan Simmons, which includes Hyperion, The Fall of Hyperion, Endymion, and The Rise of Endymion. So this series has been on my TBR for the longest while. Like I'm talking probably a decade now, and I just haven't gotten to it. And part of the reason I realize is access to the books. I do have access to the ebooks through my library, but I don't have access to the audiobooks anywhere, and I didn't have the physical books, obviously, because I just got them. So I was hearing some pretty good things about this series back in December, and at the time, I was specifically really into like time travel novels. I don't know if you guys saw my December wrap up or my recent reads video from back then. I read a lot of time travel during this time period, and I heard that this series actually has some time related stuff going on in it, so that made me really intrigued to actually pick this up. Hopefully I'll still be getting to it very soon because I am still really excited for the series, but I figured if I didn't have access to it, I probably wasn't going to read it, so I wanted to get a copy of the novels so that I would have better access to it, because even though I had access to the ebook, I very rarely actually read ebooks. I knew I was way more likely to read it if I picked up a physical copy. And now switching over to fantasy, I did pick up Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. So Elliot Brooks is obviously a YouTuber, and she wrote this book like a while ago, and I've been meaning to pick it up since it came out, and I just haven't, and I felt like that was a bad reason not to pick it up because I knew I wasn't gonna read it unless I had a physical copy of it. So yeah, I picked this one up as well, and I'm excited to read this. I don't know anything about it, but it's the type of book that I feel like I prefer to go into blind. Elliot Brooks likes the same type of books that I like, so I feel like she'll write that type of book. So I'm excited for this. And lastly, in December, I also decided to pick up Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Rigg. So this has been on my TBR for a while also. It's one of those like beloved booktube YA series. Not the typical type of books that I read, but it has a fantasy sort of twist to it, or this, I mean, some people might consider this an actual fantasy book. Either way, it's more along the lines of what I might read than like your typical YA book. And at the time, like I said, I was really into time travel, and for some reason this popped up as a recommendation for people who are interested in time travel. I still don't know if there's any actual time travel involved in this, but there might be time related sort of things going on, which just makes me interested in seeing what that is. So I don't actually have any plan to pick this up like anytime soon, but it's more of whenever I'm in the mood for a YA book. I like to have a couple on hand that I've been meaning to read just so that I have something that I could pick up on a whim. So this will probably be one of my whim reads in the near future, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what this is actually about because a lot of people actually really love this series. So moving on to the books that I bought in January, I'm gonna start with the big series that I decided to pick up in January because I got it for a fairly good price, and I really like the edition of the books that I found. And that's the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov, including 2 books from the Robot series, which are The Naked Sun and Caves of Steel, the prequel Prelude to Foundation, Foundation and Empire, Second Foundation, Foundation's Edge, and Foundation and Earth. Now I realize this is not all of the books in the series because they didn't have all of the books available, but since there were so many of them and they were all like around $3 each, I thought it was a pretty good deal because this is a series that I've been meaning to pick up for the longest while. In case you're wondering, like this whole haul seems to be books that I've been meaning to read for a long time and just haven't because I haven't had the physical copies of these books. Excited to get physical copies because I want to read this series. I have read one book by Isaac Asimov before, which was The End of Eternity, and I ended up really loving that one. So I feel like because of that one, I feel like I want to read like all of his other works. I don't know if I'm gonna end up liking it because I've heard some people not like Asimov as much as maybe they did in the past, but I still want to read them and see what I think about them. I will definitely be getting to these probably very soon. Oh, also, if you guys have read this series and if you have recommendations on what order they should be read in, because I'm trying to decide if I want to read them in like publication order or chronological order, let me know. So far, I'm like leaning towards publication order, but I haven't decided yet. And then the next book I picked up was The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. So this is a middle grade book, I believe, and it's a book that almost every March during middle grade March, I end up wanting to read but never get around to reading because one, I love middle grade books, like kind of like middle grade books more than YA, which is like weird, but I do. And then this is one that I hear a lot of people talking about as just being really good, but I don't know anything about this book, so I decided to get a copy of it so that maybe I'll actually pick it up because it's one that I've been wanting to read for a long time. And also I added it to my cart so that I can get free same day for some other stuff that I wanted, so it was just a good buy at the time. So all the other books that I bought in January are books that I've already read and probably talked about on my channel, but I'll go through them really quickly. The first are 2 nonfiction books that I talked about this month already, and that's Atomic Habits by James Clear and The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I'll link the review that I did for The 4-Hour Workweek in the description if you want more information on that, but I actually really ended up loving Atomic Habits by James Clear. It was probably one of my favorite books that I've read so far for the year. It has really great actionable items for building better habits, which I love that about it. And it made me want to read more self-help books, hence why I decided to pick up The 4-Hour Workweek, because this is just like a classic self-help book that talks about detaching time and money and how your salary should not necessarily be tied to how many hours you actually put in. So I like that concept. I didn't love the book as much as I like that concept just because there is a bit of an arrogant tone to it, but overall I still think both of these are worth the read. Next we have Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I also did a review on this one and I ended up really liking this book a lot more than I was expecting to. This book is devastating in many ways and I love that about it. I think I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I'll link the review that I did for this in the description as well. I really enjoyed this a lot more than I expected and I'm actually really excited to have a copy of this. At first, I kind of regretted getting this just because I bought it and then it was available on Kindle Unlimited, which I mean, I wasn't going to get Kindle Unlimited until Amazon offered me like 3 months of free. So I was just like, why not? So I accepted like the 3-month trial, but then I already had the book, but then I ended up reading the physical book anyway. So whatever, it's fine. It was really good. I enjoyed every second of it. And then lastly, out of all of the books that I got on this TBR, this is probably the one I'm the most excited for, which is just weird because I've already read it. And that's The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince by Robin Hobb. So for this book, I actually bought this used because it's very rare to get like a new copy of this book for whatever reason. I don't see it on sale very often, but like when I'm looking for like used book prices for this book, I found like they're usually like over $30 to $40. And I was just like, I'm not gonna buy a novella for $30. Like it's not gonna happen, especially considering I bought the last book in the series, Assassin's Fate by Robin Hobb, the hardcover, brand new hardcover for like $2. It was used, mind you, but still, if I can get that for $2, why am I gonna spend $30 for a novella in the series? And that's like my favorite book in the series too. So this one is definitely not my favorite book in the series, but it is really good for what it is. For being a novella, like this is probably one of the best written novellas that I've read. It is actually 2 short stories, which is the first short story, which is The Willful Princess. I didn't care for it that much, but it has some really good backstory to the Piebald Prince, which if you've read this series, the Piebald Prince plays a pretty big role in, I believe it's the Tawny Man trilogy. Just having that backstory here of actually following the Piebald Prince and just how devastating that story itself is. This is like one of my favorite novellas of all time. Now, like normally I don't buy novellas, but I had to have this one. So when I saw it went down to like $13 for like a new copy of it, I decided to get it and I don't regret it at all. This actually came in the library binding, which I was kind of annoyed by, but I just took like the plastic off and it looks pretty much brand new with the exception of this like one sticker on it. But yeah, really excited to have this copy. It's the middle of February and I have these books to unbox for you guys. And I think these are the only books that I got in February, at least so far. It's only the middle of February, so that could change. These books, I remember what they are, so I'm excited for them, but I kind of forgot what I ordered. So we're gonna see what I ordered and hopefully I'm still excited for it. Oh yeah. Okay, first of all, gotta do the bookmark. These are a lot of times my favorite parts of the box, so BRB, ignoring my responsibilities. Oh, that's so me. Oh my gosh. I love this. And the two books that I got are An Enchanted River by Rebecca Ross and Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I have already read Ninth House. I've been meaning to buy a copy of it for a while, and I got an extra credit somehow in Book of the Month, so I decided to use it on this, and I'm really excited to have this. An Enchanted River. I don't know what it's about, but whenever I see like a fantasy book on Book of the Month, I get pretty excited for it because they don't have a lot of fantasy books, so I'm excited to see what this is about. I have no idea. I wonder if this is a debut. I've never heard of this author before. It doesn't look like a debut. Ooh, but there are missing girls and some sort of enchantments. Should be interesting. I'm excited for this. Now, these are used books in a series. I got one from Thriftbooks and the rest, they say World of Books, but they're actually from Abe Books. So I'm gonna start with this one because it's gonna be the first book in the series. Looks good. All right, so these are 3 of the books that I bought. I believe I bought 5. I'm a little annoyed that I didn't get 2 of them. I feel like I should have gotten the other 2. Actually, I'm only missing one of the book that I remember now, which is The Wind Singers. So I bought The Harpy's Flight, The Wind Singers, which is not here, so I don't know where it is. I'm gonna have to find that one. Luck of the Wheels and The Limbreth Gates, all by Megan Lindholm, which is also Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb, as you guys know, is one of my favorite authors of all time. I absolutely love all of her books, and I've read all of her books that she's written as Robin Hobb, and I've just been wanting to read more of her books, except she doesn't have any more books, except she kind of does. I'm gonna be reading some of her Megan Lindholm books, and I wanted to start with this series because it seems the closest to the types of books that she wrote as Robin Hobb, but still like different, so I'm excited for this. Harpy's Flight is the first book in the series, so I'll definitely be getting to this one soon, and these are actually in pretty good condition. They came in better condition than like some of the other bookstores that I books from, so I'm pretty happy with this. It's Wednesday, February 16th, and yes, I did buy another book. Actually, I bought this like a while ago. It's a pre-order that I totally forgot that I bought. I feel weird unboxing this 2 days after I said I didn't buy any more books in February, but yeah, I did, so we're gonna unbox it. You guys could probably guess what book this is because I did mention this on my most anticipated releases. It's the 16th, so obviously this book came out in the last couple of days. Okay, look at that. Why is it not? Oh, it's just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I bought House of Breath and Sky by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, I did get this brand new, which is just weird for me, but I do plan on doing a full video just on this book, so I feel like it's kind of worth it because I want to read it as soon as possible, and I put the audiobook on hold in my library, and it's like 8 weeks from now you're gonna get this book, so I'm not waiting 8 weeks. I'm gonna read it right away, and I'm excited for it. I actually did really enjoy the first book. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars though, so like I didn't give it the best rating because even though I liked the ending, I had some issues with it. You want to know what those issues were, you can check out that review. I think I did a whole review on it, but yeah, I'm excited for this. Hopefully I'll end up loving it. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post videos on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so consider subscribing, and if you'd like to be notified as soon as I upload, you can click that little bell icon. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.